Got it. Get it, got it, good. Good. We got the subtitle going. Just want to make sure that I'm muted so I don't get double.
And then I'm putting my phone on airplane mode.
Good.
There we go. And
We're gonna hit
being live
record.
stream. Got it. Got it.
All right. So and we're going to hit start webinar and let people come on in.
Yes, we are. It's going to be an
Good
amazing
morning,
day.
everybody.
Good morning, Anthony.
Good morning, Leo. I see Carmencita and Sarah has come on board. Excellent. Welcome.
Excellent.
And Pone, P-O-U-N-A. I see Fong and Gay. Excellent.
This feels like Romper Room by saying everybody's names.
That's right. Romper, Stomper, Boo. Tell me true. Hi, everybody. So today we are recording today's session. Everybody attending today will get a copy of today's recording. Quick introduction of who I am. My name is Anthony. I am your Orange County Realtors outreach trainer. I'm also joined by my colleague, Leo Loera, who is also part of our membership and outreach team. Our job, or my job, just a quick introduction of who I am, is that I've been here for a little over or almost 21 years, started off in the MLS department. Guaranteed, I've spoken to everybody attending today regarding rules, regulations, violations, all that fun stuff. What I'm also involved with is our outreach program. Our outreach program is designed to give you training on all your tools and products. So today's class is all about an introduction to zipForms. Specifically, we are going over the new zipForms Plus platform, the new platform that's been out since November of last year. As a matter of fact, it's running parallel with the classic edition. So if you haven't started playing with the new edition yet, or maybe that's the only edition you know because you're a brand new member, then this is going to be the class for you. Now, Leo, introduce yourself to our lovely attendees.
Hello, everyone. Yes, thank you, Anthony. My name is Leo Loera. I am with the Orange County Realtors. I started in 2007, and one of the many individuals that helped train me was Anthony. Thank you, Anthony. So I started a membership and then progressed into different responsibilities since then. The Super E-Key Specialist is my title now. I do membership. We've trained a number of different courses related to membership, zipForms, Supra. So today we're really lucky to be having Anthony teach us today, because so that way you and I can be able to learn from the magic of Anthony.
Oh, whatever. I don't know about the magic, but we're definitely going to learn the new system. It's really simple. If you haven't started playing with it today, you want to. The classic edition will eventually go away. I expected it to go away about a month ago, but so far they've kept the old system up and running. I think that's mostly because they're afraid to get rid of something without everybody knowing about it. So we're going to go over a lot of really fun things with the new system. There probably are still working out some of the bugs with the system, but for the most part, it is running and it is very easy to use. So just real quickly, a quick show of hands. How many people have actually used the new system? And you can hit the little raise your hand icon. By the way, we do like getting questions, so feel free to write that in the chat box. Again, we are recording, but if you haven't noticed, I've had a large cup of coffee and still drinking it. So I am on a caffeine high. I do tend to talk a little quickly. So if I do go over something too quickly, please stop me and we'll be more than happy to go over that. And Leo will be monitoring our chat today. So I see that no one has accessed the new system. Great, other than Leo. So here, what we're going to do is we're going to first start off with car.org. Now, this is the primary website to access your free CAR member benefit. I see here Vuslat says there is a man sitting on a chair in a new system to the right. That's fine. This is on car.org's website. So what you're going to see here is that in the middle of the screen at car.org, you're going to see a picture of a real estate agent, technically a realtor. So yes, you as a realtor can get your photo taken by CAR, the California Association of Realtors, to have your image appear here. How you would want to do that is simply down below towards the right-hand corner where it says the agent's name, just simply click on the agent's name and then hit submit an application. And that way you can fill out a quick, simple application, which will go immediately to CAR. Probably in a week or two after you fill out that application, they will reach out to you to come to their office there in LA to get your photo taken. And what's nice is that every time you go to this website, you will see a different image of a different agent. So you will get put on a rotation, which is awesome because as members of the public go and want to look for a real estate agent, here they can immediately see where that agent is, where they service, how long they've been a realtor member. So this is CAR's campaign to promote realtors. Now, what we're going to do is we're going to access your free CAR member benefit, which allows us to put together transactions electronically. Will this training be 2 hours? Hopefully not that long, Panay, but we do have a scheduled time between 10 and 12. We are going to go over a lot of information. So we are going to do that. So real quickly, if you've never signed up for car.org, which it sounds like some of you have not, we're going to go to car.org. From here, we're going to come over to this big round circle that says access realtor secured transactions and click on this circle. Now, when you do this, you're going to scroll down and under CAR member benefits, we're going to click where it says transactions, zipForms edition, and click on the yellow button that says access now. Now, the very first time that you do this, you do need to register yourself as a user with CAR, California Association of Realtors. Again, this is a free state provided member benefit, not a CRMLS, not an Orange County member benefit, but a California Association of Realtors member benefit. From here, when we click on register, we're now going to put in our NRDS number. Now, your NRDS number, if you're an Orange County member, this is not to be confused with your DRE license number. This number is specifically issued to you by the association at the time that you join as a realtor. Now, if you're an Orange County member, that number should begin with 2055 and then followed up with 5 other numbers or 4 other numbers. From here, you're now going to put in your legal last name, what's on your DRE license. And from here, you're then going to hit submit. Now, when you hit submit, it will then send you an email to confirm or ask you to set up a text message to confirm that you are a member. Okay. And actually, I'm sorry, it's not a text message, right, Leo? It's a code that is
correct. And I also want to point out that the NRDS ID number is 9 numbers long instead of your DRE license number, which is 8 numbers long.
Gotcha.
So just heads up.
So when you hit that submit button, the system will automatically email you a code that you'll then input in to verify your membership. Once you do that, you'll then be prompted to create a unique username and password. The unique username and password can be whatever you want. It will be case sensitive. It can be alphanumeric, whatever you need. Okay. It can be the same as your MLS if you choose, but that's up to you. Now, once you do that and you agree to the terms of usage, the system will then ask you what product would you like to access. You're going to choose the top choice of zipForms Online or zipForms Plus, at which point then anytime you log in through this method, You should be taken to a screen that looks very similar to this. At this point, it will say, welcome to Lone Wolf Transactions. By the way, Lone Wolf owns zipForms, okay? From here, you're going to wait for the yellow button down below at the bottom right corner of the screen that says continue to transactions. From here, you're now going to have a window that's going to pop up. So make sure that your pop-up blockers are disabled for CAR's website. And now what we should see here is your transaction list. Here will be a list of all your created transactions in zipForms. Now, for those of you who are brand new to CAR and to Orange County, this will probably be blank, okay? But what's nice about this is that as you make transactions for your various different clients on various different properties to either buy, sell, lease, commercial, or residential, this is where you're going to be able to go to access all the necessary forms to make those transactions happen. So, are there any questions on how to register and access zipForms? All right. So now let's make a new transaction. How we make a new transaction is very, very simple. Very simply, what we're going to do is we're going to move our mouse over to the left-hand side to this button that says new. When we click on the new button, we are now immediately asked, what type of transaction are you going to make? Are you making a new listing for sale for a client? Are you making a new offer to buy a property? Are you creating a new lease for a tenant, or are you going to create a new lease listing for a landlord to list their property? So today, maybe I and Leo are going to create a new offer for a client. Maybe you're a brand new agent, so right now you don't have a listing to list a property. You do have a buyer, though, who wants to purchase a property. Simply click on where it says new purchase offer. And now the little window is going to open up where we can fill out some information. First, we're going to name the transaction. Now, you can name the transaction whatever you want. You can name it the property address. Or we can name it the client name. Or we can name it a combination of the two. Whatever is going to be easiest for you to remember who you're representing for which property. Now, most of you out there, if you're representing a seller, will probably name it just the property address. Others of you will actually, if you're representing buyers, will name it a combination of both the address and the client name. Why? Because how often does a client actually make multiple offers on multiple different properties? Probably quite a bit, right? Usually buyers are now making at least multiple offers on multiple different homes and see what sticks. So here, this is a way of being able to keep track of each individual transaction. Now, there is a new choice here that was added back in March of this year, and that is the property address section. Here under the property address section that was added in March of this year, you can now type in the full address of the property. Now, what's nice about this is that we can now type in, or when we type in the property address here, this will now automatically fill in the address section on a contract. So it saves us some time and effort, okay? So here we can fill in the property address, we name the transaction, we can come down below, select what type of category the transaction is. Is it residential? Is it industrial, multi-unit, condo, commercial, vacant land, farm, manufactured home, co-op, unlisted, other, whatever, right? So here you can select the property type. Now all you need to do is come straight down below and click on this green button that says save. Now, once we click on save, we have now officially made the transaction. Here we are defaulted into the summary list of the transaction itself. We can now fill in some property information about the summary. So on the purchasing side, the property summary, the buying side, commission, the listing side, information if we happen to have it, we can fill all that information in, which again, most of this information will be filled in on the contracts as we begin to add a contract. Now, real quickly, from the summary to add documents, because we want to add forms right away, because timing is of the most important part here. We've made the transaction. We're now just going to simply come over here towards the right-hand side where it says all forms, this big blue button, and we're going to click on that. Now, when we do that, we now get to see an entire list of more than 420 forms to buy, sell, lease properties in the state of California for both residential and commercial. So there is a form for everything. All we now need to do is simply find the form, click on it, and add it to the system. Now, eventually this will be modified to show you the new method. Now, for me to get to the new method, all I now need to do is just add in at least one form. And now to edit the form, I'm going to come over here to the left-hand side, click on the form once, and then click on it again. And I'm now going to be given two choices. Now, before we do that, are there any questions on how to make a transaction? If you did nothing new or different today, that's how easy it is to make a transaction.
Now, Anthony, it appears that we have the finest individuals attending this class today because I see no questions at all.
So they're going to take it easy on me today. I expected some heavy hitting questions. All right.
I believe that your instruction as an instructor, you are superb. That's the reason why you're able to teach this effectively. However, Calio has a question. There are two forms with the same name. One has a dot in the front of the name. What's the differences between them?
Are you talking about the purchase agreement?
Yes.
This one just says California Residential Purchase Agreement with a dot in front of it. The dot just basically is how they just worded it here. The other one is the residential listing agreement. So the residential listing agreement is to list a property for sale. The purchase agreement is to buy a property for sale. Those are the two standard contracts to list a residential property or buy a residential property. Does that help? We're going to go actually. So the big difference, Riley, between the new forms editor and the classic forms editor is that the classic edition is going to go away. It's done in or was created in an old format. So the new format of the new forms editor, totally different format. I think it's actually a lot better and streamlined. So we're going to use the new edition today. And yes, Kaleo, we can do a search for a name, which I'm going to show you in the new method on how to do that. Does that help?
Excellent.
Excellent. So today, what we're going to do, ladies and gentlemen, is that when we go and click on the form, to add forms, do you have to be in the summary tab? No, you don't have to be, Carmencita. You can actually be in the documents tab. So you don't have to be from the summary. But here, if I go to the documents tab, I still have the all forms over here towards the right. So I still will go to the all forms to add a form. I can even go into the checklist. Nope, they took that away. So documents, summaries, and I think even, yeah. So either the summary or the document. You're always defaulted into the summary once you create the transaction. You're welcome. All right, so today what we're going to do is we're going to click on the form. We want to edit the form. Now we're given two choices currently. Now I expect that the classic edition will go away. Now, just to show you what the classic edition looks like super quickly, is that when we go into the classic edition, you're going to see the form is in the middle of the screen. We've got a bunch of menu tabs at the very top of the screen. So this is kind of what we're used to seeing right now if you've been a member for, say, longer than a year. If you're a new member, this may not be a choice for you. As a matter of fact, you may only have the new forms editor as a choice. if you're a new member. Us veteran members, we want to start using the new forms edition. Now, when we click on the new forms edition here, this is what the new screen does look like. Now, we are defaulted into the forms area, but eventually when we go to make a transaction, and by the way, the form takes up a nice portion view of the screen itself, which is really easy for us to go through and edit the terms of the contract. Now, before we start doing that, from here, I want to bring your attention over towards the right-hand side of the screen. Over here on the right-hand side of the screen, even though we're in a form, we want to first start off at the top of the list, the parties. Now, the parties are the people who are part of the transaction. Now, what I love about this new addition is that you'll notice here that I am defaulted as the agent because I made the transaction. I'm in my zip forms, and it's based on the transaction type, in this case, purchase, I have now been made the buying agent on this property, or the selling agent. Now I need to add in my clients on the contract. How I do that, very simply, besides clicking on the contract and editing their names, come over to the parties, and under the parties section, I'm going to simply click the add button. And when I click add button, I'm now going to add a new party for the very first time. Now from here, we're going to be defaulted because we're now in our purchase transaction, adding in buyer's one's name first. So here we can put in the buyer's name and their email address. And now all I need to do with those 3 bits of information typed in, and it's important to have their email address here because this will help us with digitally signing documents or emailing documents to this party in the future. I'm now going to simply come down below and click on save. When I click on save, we've just now added buyer 1 to the contract. To add in my other client, I'm now going to come back over to the add button, add another party. This time I'm going to select their role, in this case, maybe buyer 2, type in their name and their email address, and simply hit save. So now I've just added Leo and Gloria's name to the contract. I can come back over here and make sure that I select certain things on the contract as I'm editing the form. Now, what happens, because I know some of you are thinking, well, what happens if there's a 3rd and a 4th and a 10th buyer? What can I do? Well, come back over to add a new party, and now select their role. Now you'll notice here that I've already got buyer 1 and buyer 2 put in, but I don't have a buyer 3 and a buyer 4. Here I can select buyer 3. Oop. Type in their name. And again, hit save. Now, unfortunately, you're not going to see buyer 3, buyer 4, buyer 5's name on this contract. Why? Because there's only spots for 1 and 2. This is where you're going to need other contracts like the ASA, the additional signature addendum, for these extra signers to be placed on a form. If we scroll down on this purchase agreement, we will see, however, on page 1, the names added to the contract. But only 1 and 2 will be able to initial and sign the main contract. Are there any questions so far?
Oh, yes, we do have a question. What if the buyers, as in this example, they have the same email address?
Well, as you notice here, I put in the same email address for Gloria and Leo, as well as even buyer 3. But that also means that I'm going to need to make sure I do my proper due diligence and go over the contracts individually with all my clients. Does that help? You're welcome. All right. Now, in cases of, say there's a trust, as an example, here maybe we have the Loera Family Trust.
Before you go on,
Yes.
Vuslat has a question. Can you come again? Who will sign? I
So
believe it's, go ahead, please.
all three signers need to sign the contracts. Unfortunately, buyer one and buyer two are the only people able to sign the main contracts, right? Initials, buyer one, buyer two. That's it. Well, how do you get buyer three's name on the or signature? You have to use another form called the ASA, Additional Signature Addendum. And what that form states is that when you're accompanying that form with, say, the purchase agreement, buyer three would sign that in lieu of signing the purchase agreement. Doesn't mean that you can't manually place their digital areas on this form, but just know that that form technically is a replacement for their signature and initials because you only have a finite amount of space on the contracts. Does that help?
I think that was a perfect answer.
Okay.
But, and then you're going to cover the next section about the trust. Vuslat says yes, thank you. And then
Excellent.
you're going to cover LLCs and corporations.
Sure. So say as an example here, we need to add a trust, right? Buyer one, the trust name is the Loera Family Trust. Okay. Now with the Loera Family Trust, and maybe I just put that in as the Loera Family Trust. Okay. We split it up that way. But now who's allowed to sign for that trust? Because as we all know, the trust doesn't have its own individual email address, right? Someone has to sign for it. Well, in this parties section, what I can now do is scroll down. And as I scroll down, I do get to see other information I can fill in about this particular party. Well, as I scroll down, there is a choice here called signing representative. Now, under the signing representative, I can now use this to indicate who's allowed to sign for this trust. Because in cases where this property is in a trust or vested in a trust or an LLC, whereby I need the printed trust name on the contract, I can now assign Leo Loera trustee and Leo's email address. So now I have the Loera Family Trust printed on the contract, but now when it comes to digitally signing the contract, the system will now automatically replace the Loera Family Trust with Leo Loera Trustee as a signature and LLT as the initials. Does that help? So basically there's an addendum that works the same as signing the actual contract, Riley. The answer is yes, there is a form for everything. It's called the additional signature addendum. But yes, you want to look for that.
And then just to confirm with Qui, wanted to verify that anyone is under the age of 18. This does not apply because they're not allowed to sign contracts in the state of California. Is that correct? Or you can refer to CAR Legal for advice.
Yeah, because if they emancipated themselves as a legal adult, then that's,
Refer to CAR Legal.
CAR Legal or your risk management team. But yes, usually you don't have a minor signing on a contract to buy a property. I don't know of too many minors that are out there buying homes, people under the age of 18, but doesn't mean that it doesn't happen. So I would refer to the CAR legal department in those instances. Do you have something like that, Key? Sorry.
I think probably just asking hypothetically in case he goes through that situation. Oh, yes, just question. Thank you.
Awesome. Excellent. All right. So that's adding in your parties. Now, For contracts, forms, documents, things like that, we can go to the off to the right, go to the forms. Here under the forms area, you do have a work area and other documents that you've added to the transaction. Now, real quickly here, under your workspace, we did already add the purchase agreement, but if we need to add other forms or documents, simply come back over here to the top. We've got the add button here. This is where we're going to go to add in forms and documents to our workspace. We also have other icons here, like we can begin digital signatures of this contract. Now, chances are you're probably never going to click this button. Why? Because you've got the big blue button off to the upper right corner that says prepare signing. So this prepare signing button allows us to start our digital signing process. Next to that, we have the send button. This allows us to send either an email or a electronic fax of documents. We can download forms out of our work area. We can print documents, or we can trash documents out of our workspace. To add forms and documents, simply click on the add button. Now, with the new addition, as we notice here, when I click on add, we've got something that's a little bit different now. Here we've got several choices. First, suggested. Now, if you've been working with zipForms for a long time, we have a feature in our transaction list under the transaction tools called Forms Advisor. Now, what Forms Advisor allows you to do is answer a set of legal questions, most of which are yes and no answers. And based on your answers, we'll compile a list of forms required for the transaction. Well, as the new system becomes released, Forms Advisor will be replaced by this tool here called Suggested. Now, as you're writing up the contract, the system will automatically suggest, based on certain terms that you've written up, what forms you might need. So the system is automatically, based on the CAR legal advice, forms that you might need based on terms you're typing on the contract. Now, next to this, we also have the forms library. Very similar to the all forms button that we clicked on, we are defaulted to the California Association of Realtors library, whereby we can access all 420 plus CAR forms to buy, sell, lease forms in the state of California. Now, to find one or two forms that you might need, simply, instead of going up and down this entire list, we can either click in the box here where it says search for name or description and say type in the form number like RPA, which stands for the Residential Purchase Agreement. Now, all of a sudden, the forms list sorts to give me all the forms that have either RPA as part of the number or part of the title of the form. Now, if you don't know the number of the form, oh, and by the way, unlike the current classic edition, when I go under all forms and I can simply click on a form by clicking on the name, you'll notice here that it's not allowing me to add the form. To add the form officially in the new edition, I have to now come over to the add button and click on the add button. Now, I know everybody immediately has said, well, geez, Tony, why are there two residential purchase agreement forms? Very simply, my understanding is that this one here, the top one that's got the dot California Residential Purchase Agreement, has all the forms merged together. So it's got the agency disclosure, the PRBS, the wire fraud, the fair housing, the purchase agreement, the statewide inspection advisor. It basically got all 6 forms, whereas this one should only be the purchase agreement. If you're reading through the contract, you'll notice that there are certain things automatically required by the state to have. So always choose the first one. Now, again, if you don't know the number of the form, but you know part of the name of the form, like disclosure. Now the forms list sorts to give me every form that has the word disclosure as part of the title. And again, find what you need, click on it, add it to the workspace. Now you have a third choice. Oh, by the way, are there any questions so far?
Yes, our dear friend Riley wants us to. Can we just go over how you went into this screen where it says suggested forms library and upload? I believe he wants you to start with the add button again. Show him where the add button's at.
Sure, Riley. So over here towards the right-hand side, we're going to click on the Forms tab off to the right. From here, I'm now going to get a nice little window. One of those choices here is Add. It's a big blue button. When I click on Add, we now have a set of tabs. First being the suggested. Next is the Forms library, where we can now go up and down and find the necessary forms for all the various different libraries that CAR gives us access to. And again, simply click in the box here that says search for name and type in what it is that you're trying to find. Once you find it, click the add button to add it as part of your workspace. Does that help, Riley?
And also the suggested forms will sometimes be
Eventually,
empty.
will sometimes be empty like it is now because I've not started typing any terms on the contract.
Riley and I are on the same page about you because we both think you're a champion.
Oh, thank you. So here, as you're typing in terms on a contract, the suggested forms will appear based on the terms that we're typing up. That may be required. Now, there is also another choice here called upload. CAR allows you, and zipForms allows you to upload documents outside of zipForms, like PDF files or Excel spreadsheets or Word documents or JPEG files. Now, this is great in case you have to upload, say, like a company disclosure, or better yet, maybe I'm getting a counteroffer from the other agent. Well, what I can do is I can download that counteroffer onto my computer, and with this upload button, I can now place that PDF document as part of the transaction. Now, I technically can't edit that form, but I can digitally sign that document, because all I would need to do at that point is place the areas to indicate to the signers where they need to sign an initial on those forms. How we can upload a document is very easy. We can simply, from upload, either choose to add a document from, say, Dropbox, Google Drive, OneDrive, or I can browse my computer for a file, or even better yet, and hopefully I can get out of this, find the PDF document that I want to add in, just like so, or it just says drop files here. I can simply go to my drive and let me see here. Let's go to my multiple downloads, grab a document, drag it on over, and let go. And now I've got these added PDF files to my transaction. So here we can simply click on it, look at it, just like so. Now that's what we can do from the forms area. Now, what's also nice about the forms area is that as I'm typing in information, I can, if I wanted to, scroll down and begin to type in all the necessary information. Or better yet, by the way, are there any other questions about how to add a form or a document?
I think that we have no questions at the moment.
Excellent. Now, if we want to fill in information very quickly about this transaction, I can come over here, back over to the right, underneath where it says forms, click on listing information. Here under the listing information, I can manually type in data. When it was listed, the list price of the property, I won't know the listing side commission, but just know the agent would know that if they're a listing agent, but the buying side commission, maybe I know that from the listing. Now, unfortunately, right now, this is only whole dollar amounts. On the contract, however, they do still allow for either dollar amounts or percentages. Okay. Now, I won't know a listing's expiration date. Only a listing agent would know what the property includes or includes dishwasher, washer, dryer, and oh, I don't know, oven. Okay, what the property excludes, all right? Let's see here. TV, oh, 100-inch TV in living room, right? We can have all that in there. Now, this is on the listing side. Now, there's also something nice about this. Right above all this information, there's an import button. Now, what the import button allows us to do is import a listing either from the MLS, or we can import information from the public tax record data to fill in on a contract, which is awesome. Simply choose import a listing. We can now type in the MLS number to the property. We can say replace the existing data from that listing. And then when we say import, what should happen is that the information should have been successfully imported here. Now, I think the MLS number, because I just made one up, it didn't find it, but just know that this is where it would import that data. Now, if you're doing this on the listing side, you also can import or put in information very quickly on a contract for your offer side. So here we can put in the offer price, when you expect to close, when you want to take possession, the deposit, the offer date, the offer expiration date, and the date of acceptance. We're going to leave blank because it hasn't been signed yet. But here we can fill in that information very quickly on a contract. Okay. So we can have a little fun with that. By the way, if we import the MLS listing data on our contracts, the listing office information will be filled in along with the agent's license numbers, which is great. Here, what we can do is we can go through the rest of the contract. So here we filled in our parties very quickly. We've added in forms and documents very quickly and easily. We've got some listing information that we've pulled from the MLS or typed in manually. We've also got the offer information typed in very quickly and easily. Now, all we have to do is fill in the specifics of the actual contracts. Right? And actually, maybe we got full underwriting. So here we have that information. Maybe in this one, we've got 21 days and, time of possession, 6 p.m. and close of escrow, all this other fun stuff. Now, we've got some other cool tools here. Clauses. Clauses, I love making clauses or using clauses. What clauses allows us to do is import text directly onto a contract. Now, this is great for those types of office meetings where a broker has advised us that if we ever use a certain form, we should say XYZ on that particular form. Well, instead of having to remember what it is that they said about that form when maybe 10 transactions from now, I have to use that form, I've made that information into a clause. Very simply, what we're going to do is first create a clause. All we got to do, name it, like, oh, I don't know, buyer counter, or actually, let's go seller counter. And then we're just going to type in what that clause is, right? Seller counters with highest and best. Buyer to give dinner every first Sunday of the month for 12 months after COE, right? Something like that. Now we want to apply that clause to a contract, right? So maybe we have a counter offer. Now I can go to that area of the form where I need to apply that clause, like maybe under the other terms. When I click on that line, we now have a button that appears that says add a clause. Simply find the clause that you need to add. Select it and then say insert. And now we've just inserted that text. Now, if I need to write in other information, simply click on the line and then we can write in our other information. Or maybe multiple clauses have to be applied to this line. Well, sure. Simply come back over to add a clause, find another clause to add, insert, and now insert that line of text as well. We're not limited to how many lines of text we can add into a form. We can add as many clauses to one contract as we want. Are there any questions on this?
No, but I think we have an earlier question from Cleo is, and I think it might be a CAR legal question to, when using zipForms, does Cleo use the nickname that he registered with the California Association of Realtors or the name that appears under his DRE license?
Well, I'm not.
I'm almost saying go refer to CR legal to be on the safe side.
I would imagine that your driver's license doesn't need to be on a form. That's your DRE license has to be on a form. So your DRE, your Department of Real Estate license number. That's way different than your driver's license.
You're talking about the name.
The name, well, that's all referenced from your account based on your NRDS information, which we have to have your official legal name that's on your license. Does the form expand depending on the added verbiage? It doesn't expand, Peter. What happens is the form will take this line of text if it goes beyond the allotted line of text and add all this verbiage onto what they call the TOA, the text overflow addendum, which is a really cool tool. So you can be as wordy as you need to on your contracts. You're welcome. Any other questions? All right, next is your tools. Now your tools, very simple. This allows you to mark up some PDF documents.
Before you go on,
yes.
Sorry to interrupt, but Peter has a question. Where does this form show up?
What form?
The TSA form. I believe that's what Peter's asking for.
The TOA, the text overflow addendum. It happens at the time of signing or when you print out the form or you email it as a PDF. The form will then appear at the end. So if I say we're to print this form, okay. So here, if I go to the seller counteroffer and I say print as an example, the window is going to open up. And if I've gone beyond the allotted lines of text, which I do believe I did on that form, which it didn't, awesome. So we just go back and we just keep adding in text until we do. Oh, wrong thing.
And to answer while you're looking for that form, Peter, so if Anthony types in more information than appears in that window of whatever lines it is, and it goes beyond that, then the text overflow addendum kicks in. If it's within the number of lines of it, then the text overflow addendum, of course, will not appear. But once Anthony or yourself starts typing a lot of information in a certain field and goes beyond it, then automatically a text overflow addendum will kick in. And then when you go in to look at that particular form, it will show that refer to the text overflow addendum section, whatever it is, and it'll show that information. Anthony is going to show that in just a moment. He's going to add a novel.
So here, basically, I wrote a lot of lines of text, but it only cuts off after so many lines. So now when I go and say print this particular form, I love how this just kicks me out of everything. We'll now see text overflow addendum, and let me see if I can expand that so you all can see this. It says see text overflow addendum under that other term section. So now when I go past that form, right, page 1 of 1, the text overflow addendum is automatically added where it says, here you go, the SCO paragraph 1D, other terms, and then here are all the terms that we just wrote in that paragraph. So the system automatically does this for you on every contract. So you don't have to do anything special or unique. It does it automatically for you, which I love about this system.
And Peter says, cool, thank you.
You're welcome. And now let's get back into it. All right. Are there any other questions?
No other questions.
Everybody liking the new format? Looks pretty simple, right? Everybody excited about using the new format today?
Yes. Peter says yes.
Woohoo. Okay. So now real quickly, what else can we do here? Okay, in zipForms. Maybe I don't want to have to keep grabbing the same forms over and over and over again. This is where templates will come in. Templates are basically a stencil of forms and terms that you negotiate for about maybe 95% of your clients. This is going to save a lot of time and effort. As you notice here, it took us at least 20 to 25 minutes to make the transaction, find the forms, add the forms, type in all the information on those forms, right? Especially when it comes to the purchase agreement, when we're looking at information and maybe we want to, 95% of my clients all negotiate the same terms. This is where a template will help you out. It's going to save you at least 20 to 25 minutes worth of work for every transaction. So to make a template, very simply, we're going to come over to the templates tab here at the top. We're going to click that and go to forms and checklists. Here will be a list of all my created templates. Now to make a new template, just like making a transaction, we're going to come over here to the top right hand or left hand side and click on new. Now, what type of template are we going to make? Are we creating a new listing template for a seller? Are we creating a new offer template for a buyer, a new lease template for a tenant, or a new lease listing for a landlord? Well, maybe we are representing a lot of buyers. Here we're going to choose new purchase offer. Now we're going to name it. Now you'll notice here, there's no specifics of a transaction, like there is no address here. So we're going to name it client property generic. So maybe you want to call this one buyer template. Or maybe buyer. Or standard sale. Or maybe we just call it purchase. Or maybe an REO purchase or a short sale purchase or whatever. If you're creating a listing template, call it listing, call it standard sale, call it seller, call it whatever you want, REO sale. Choose your category. And then say, do not automatically apply. Why? Because you want to be in control over what templates get applied to what transactions. You don't want your purchase template to be applied to every transaction, because what happens if you're doing a listing? Adding in a purchase template automatically doesn't help you list a property. Just like not every purchase is a standard sale purchase. It might be an REO. It might be a trust sale. It might be a probate sale. Different contracts, right? Now from here, after we hit save, what we're now going to do is we're now going to add in a core set of forms. Now, this is where your broker is going to help you, because some brokerages give you an entire list of forms required for that transaction. Very easy. All we need to do, come over to where it says all forms, and now find the forms that we need.
And
add
as you're
them in.
doing that, Peter raised his hand.
Mhm.
Maybe it's an oversight from previously when Peter was talking. Had questions.
Yes.
Peter, did you still have more questions? We may have, it was probably in the previous conversation. Oh, it's from last time. Nope, he's good. Excellent.
Okay.
Okay.
Now
Just want
from
to make
here,
sure about that.
awesome. Thanks, Celia. Now from here, we've added the forms, right? So maybe my broker says that every transaction, I need at least the California purchase agreement, right? I also need an additional signature addendum because maybe my buyers nowadays have more than 2 buyers buying a property, right? Mom, dad, son, daughter, or friends and family are all gathering together to buy a property, right? We're going to have that in there just in case I need it. Now from here, what I'm going to now do is I'm going to go into the form and I'm going to edit some generic terms. Now, what are my generic terms of the form? Well, my generic terms, like as an example, under parties, I'm going to add myself as the selling agent, right? Right? So information that's not going to change on any of this. And actually, let me put in my work email. So I got my information automatically here for my template. Maybe I go through and I add in some of the things in here. I mark some of the things that 90% of my clients always negotiate for, right? So maybe, oh, I don't know, close of escrow. My clients always love to shoot for a 45-day escrow. And you know what? They always like to put down, oh, at least $60,000 because that's what they can afford. Whoop. Right? Of the purchase price. And I don't know who pays for what, buyer or seller, right? You know what? My loans require at least 21 days. You know, my investigations, who pays for what? We're always including the refrigerators, the washer, dryers, dishwasher, microwaves constantly. You know what? Seller pays for this and that, and who pays for what kind of thing, right? So we mark all that necessary information down. Okay. Now at this point, after we've done all this, we're now ready to apply that template to a transaction. So now, transaction is going to be client property specific. So now when I go to make a new transaction for a buyer and we name it, right? We type in the property address here. La Paz, Laguna Hills, California, 92653. It's residential. We're now going to scroll down and we're going to now see a new thing here called select a template. From here, what I can now do is find the template that I need. And let me find the one that we just created. Hopefully, there it is. And now when I say save, all those forms, all those generic terms are now applied to this transaction. So now when I go to my documents, we see all those forms are automatically added here. I didn't have to add them manually. And now when I go in to edit a form, I'm now going to type in the specifics of this form. Well, what are my specifics? My specifics are now what? client information, right? Maybe we go in and we make our offer price, our close of escrow when we're doing all this stuff, our deposit, right? We've got all this specific information that we're now going to be typing in on this form. Right? But now maybe all of a sudden some of my terms change. Like instead of a 45-day escrow, this client wants to actually close on a specific date. Or instead of a loan, this is actually all cash. Maybe some of the other terms change, like, you know what? They don't want the microwave or the dishwasher, so we deselect that. Or maybe instead of the buyer paying for this, they want the seller to pay for it. Or they want to, we can now go through and change some of the specific terms. But what you've noticed here is I didn't have to go to the forms area, find the forms, add them, and then type in everything from scratch. Templates will save you anywhere from 15 to 20 minutes per transaction. And if this buyer is making 4 offers on 4 homes that I showed them this weekend, 20 minutes per transaction, that now gives me at least 80 minutes to my life. So now I can sleep, eat, shower, shave, do whatever I need to do important marketing, whatever I need. Anybody like templates?
I think we all love templates, and I think that touching on the topic of timing, one of our attendees, and I think it's a good idea, has suggested we take a short break to allow us to stretch out for just a few minutes to take care of just a few minutes, just to take care of some whatever they have to.
Personal business. All right. Why don't we take a quick 5-minute break, come back at 11:05, and then I don't have that much more to go over with you all, but we can do that. So
Yes,
why don't we just pause the recording for right now, and I will see you all at 11:05.
Excellent. Thank you.
You're welcome.
Riley has a question. This is a bit off topic, but can a buyer send out multiple offers? What if
Yes.
their offer is accepted by multiple sellers?
Yes.
Yes, yes.
The buyer has to decide which one they want because they do have their contingency period, right?
Yes.
Now, if they're an investor, obviously they may want to buy up everything. So,
Yeah.
of course, they're going to make multiple offers with their different amounts and all that other fun stuff, which is why you have multiple different transactions to keep track of all that paperwork. Does that help, Riley?
Yes.
Excellent. I saw the question mark there. So, yes. So, say Leo's my buyer and I show him 4 homes, right? Well, it's a competitive market. He loves all 4 homes. What's wrong with writing up offers on all 4 properties? There's nothing, right? We're playing the numbers game because maybe 1 or 2 might come back to us. Well, now maybe we get into a counteroffer situation, at which point Leo now can decide which one he really wants to go after. Or, you know what? I like both, but now, they didn't counter us. They accepted our offers as is. Now he's got a contingency period of, say, 15 days on one and 10 days on the other to decide whether he wants to go through with those, one or both purchases. In this case, he'd probably decide in the first 2 minutes, hey, I don't want that one. I want this one instead, which will now do another contract called withdrawal of offer to officially cancel the offer. Are there any forms for seller financing? I'm sure that there are. Do I know what those are? No, I would talk to CAR Legal or your broker for those forms.
Riley thinks you're awesome.
Thank
I
you.
think you're awesome.
Thank you. I do okay. No complaints.
Excellent.
No complaints. Sorry, I have to keep an eye out.
Understood. And we're going to start in a couple minutes, you say?
Yep.
Is it possible to submit multiple offers to a single listing and each offer has different contingency with different prices? Ooh,
Okay.
hmm, I don't know. That's a tough one to answer. I suppose the answer might be a yes answer, but that might be a little confusing for the listing agent.
So, Kelio, are you representing multiple different buyers on the sale of the one property?
It might be one single buyer with multiple offers on that one property with
Well,
different
that's how,
contingencies, different prices.
yeah. I mean, that's why you have a form called a seller multiple counter offer. So in those cases where the seller has been given multiple different offers, their agent can now do a multiple counter offer to multiple of those offers, countering their terms, and then the buying agent will do a buyer counter offer to that multiple counter offer, either changing those terms, at which point it will get narrowed down to where the seller will accept only one of those offers, because a seller cannot multiply sell their home more than once. Now you can have multiple people buy the property on the one offer, right? So Leo, his wife, his 15 children want to all go in and buy this one property. They can all be on the contract, buy it under their individual names, right? That's like a big thing right now. So they could do that, but it's still only one offer.
I guess since it's 11:05, might be a commercial break to show how we sign up for the next class.
Sure. Let's see. I've
Because
only
Riley's
found
asking.
classes through email. Sure. Real quickly, CAR. Or if you go to ocar.org or ocrealtors.org, sorry,
Yes, either one.
ocrealtors.org. From here, scroll down and you will see our calendar down below. So we'll have all the upcoming classes for the next couple of weeks or couple of days. From here, you can say view all and look at the entire month of classes that you can sign up for and access. So here we've got intro to zipForms, which is what we're doing now. We also have the digital signing, which is at 1 today. And then of course, advanced tools and tips at 3 o'clock today. And they're all webinar based today.
And then Kaleo had another question.
Yeah, so you can start with one offer with more stringent condition and then wait for a counter. Well, yeah, ideally that's the idea, right? Maybe your terms are so good that they don't need to counter offer you and they accept those terms right out of the gate, right? Obviously, you want to make competitive terms, but keep in mind that you're representing your buyer. So your goal behind your buyer is to get them, not spend all of their money, but, that's where the art of negotiation comes in. Leo submits an offer to me. My seller now chooses to either go with the current terms that Leo has submitted, or we write up a counter offer countering those terms. And then Leo can counter my counter until we come to a middle ground where we can both win. And not just agent to agent win, client to client win. Does that help? You're welcome. All right. A couple of things that we can go over next.
Let's unpause that recording, please.
Oh, yes. Thank you. And you guys can still see my screen okay?
Yes.
Excellent. All right. So from here, what are some of the other things that we can do? Well, back here at our transaction list, over at the top right corner, we've got the TXN tools. Here under the TXN tools, we do have The mortgage calculator, I love this tool here. What you can do is give a quick estimated amortization schedule. This is great to help clients understand the impact of interest rates. So say as an example, they're getting a loan amount of say, oh, I don't know, $560,000. And we've got an interest rate of 6.5%. And the loan terms are 360 payments. That's basically 30 years. Right away, we can see with just 3 numbers that their payment should be around $3,539 starting in, oh, I don't know, the months of September. Now from here, they can go down below, or we can go down below and show them a quick amortization schedule. What goes to principal, what goes to interest for the entire life of the loan. So that by the end of 30 years, the client has paid back their $560,000, but they've also paid $714,000 in interest payments. Yay, gotta love high interest rates, right? Now, I know everybody's waiting. I want to see what the market does. I want to see what the market does. Well, the interest, what's going to happen? Price is going to drop. Here's the problem, though. You may or may not have realized that last week they raised interest rates. Now, they didn't raise interest rates much, but they still raised them. So say, even though we've got the $560,000 loan, today's interest rate is now 6.75%. Still the same terms of 360 payments. Now they're currently at $3,000 or $3,500 and some change, right? But just raising a 0.25%, we've now just raised their entire payment by almost $100 by just raising it a 0.25%. Heaven forbid, say come in November, they raise it a whole percent, right? Now you go from $3,539 to $3,915. What you were saving before, you're not now saving. And geez, if you think that interest rates were high before at that $714,000 interest payments, look at what you pay now, $849,000 in interest. You're paying $132,000 in just interest alone. So is it better to buy now or wait to buy later? Anybody? Probably get your clients off the fence and start making offers now, because what they could now do is price themselves right out of the market by just waiting, right? If they were just waiting and they were just squeaking in before, that 0.25% could just push them right out of the market. Or what they could afford today, they can't afford that same type of home tomorrow. So these things are impactful. So this is a great tool to get people to understand the impact of interest. Okay. Forms Advisor, we kind of touched on that earlier. This is a great tool for those of you not sure exactly what forms you need for that particular transaction. What I can do, hopefully, if it opens up, which it doesn't seem like it's going to, excellent. Answer set of legal questions, so we can come back to that one later. The other one is Forms Tutor. Hopefully this will open up. Yes, it does. Now, what this tool allows us to do is learn our forms. What this does is it redirects us back to car.org's website where we can launch Forms Tutor. And now when we look at this, we can look at the 36 most commonly used forms to learn about the form. Now, you may or may not know this, but Orange County Realtors once a month has a real estate purchase agreement class. Now, if you've missed out that class, right, because geez, of all the terms and everything, excuse me, everything like that, here what we can do is access through Forms Tutor the form. Now, what's cool about this is that when I click on this tool, I see what the form looks like. Now, I see these little blue dots throughout the entire form. Now, depending on the form, I'm going to see these blue dots on every page, every line, every paragraph. Now, when I click on a little dot, I'm now going to get a written explanation of that line, of that paragraph, of that page. Now, how many of you love to read? Now, if you're like most people, it's already tough enough to read the legal contract. Now you want to read the legal explanation of the legal language of the contract, right? Yay, I love that. Well, here in this box in the upper right-hand corner or left-hand corner, there is a little play button. So if I hit this little play button.
Paragraph 1D. Buyer and seller are referred to as the parties. The RPA is an agreement between buyer and seller, not the brokers.
So now I can hear an audio explanation of that line, of that paragraph, of that page. So 24 hours a day, 7 days a week, you as an agent can now learn your forms. There should be no excuse why you don't know a particular term. If you've missed out on a class, no big deal. Come into this tool that CAR Legal has freely offered to you to now learn your forms. Because as we all know, it's our fiduciary duty to make sure that the client reads and understands the form. It clearly states it on page 16 of the RPA that when you sign this contract, and of course, when you sign this contract, it is with the acknowledgement that you as the agent have made sure that they have read and understood every term of this contract. If you're just telling your clients, just let me know if you have questions when you're signing it, this is where a lot of agents get themselves into trouble with these lawyers nowadays. You're not performing your fiduciary duty. Make sure that either at time of signing or around time of signing that you go over the terms of the contract. Now, what's nice about this tool is that as you learn the form and you better understand it, you now feel more confident or will feel more confident in explaining the terms to your client. Now, this is not shareable with any of your clients. This is all behind your sign-ins at CAR. So this is meant purely as a learning tool for you. Are there any questions on this?
Let's just show how to find these Forms Tutor and Forms Advisor again.
Sure.
Through the TXN tools, through the zipForms.
So
And then if we could show it again also through the CAR website.
So when I'm in zipForms, what I'm going to do is I'm going to move my mouse at the upper left-hand side to where it says TXN tools or transaction tools. When I click on it, I'm now going to scroll down on this list of choices and click on Forms Tutor. From here, I'm now going to be redirected back to car.org's website, whereby I'm going to scroll down to where it says Forms Tutor and access Forms Tutor. Here I can access 36 of the most commonly used forms. From here, I can do a search for a form like RPA. And now they've broken the RPA contract into 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 different sections. Pages 1 through 4, 5 through 8, 9, 10 through 13, and of course, 14 through 16. Now, when I click on that section, I can then click on the blue dots and access this tool. Does that help? Hopefully.
Yes, but yeah, Carmencita says yes, thank you. But if we can go through the CR website, we can go under Transaction Center and find that same method.
Sure.
Forms Advisor, Forms Tutor.
car.org, Transaction Center. From here, Forms Advisor, Forms Tutor, and then scroll down and do the same thing without having to be in zipForms.
Perfect.
All right. Next thing, real quickly, and then I can pretty much almost let you all go, I think. Because you've all made this super easy. When I'm in a transaction, either at the summary or in the docs area, there is a choice here to allow me to add folders. Here, what I can do is I can click on add a folder and make a folder. This is great for when you're adding in like PDF files. So maybe we have client financials. From here, I can now create a folder just like so. And now I can open up that folder and then using this button called Add Doc, upload PDF files. So proof of funds, earnest money deposit, what have you. Now, this is also a great tool as well. If I'm representing the seller and we're getting multiple different offers, well, what I'm going to now do is create folders like offer one, and then go into offer one and then upload offer one's PDF documents. Now, this is a great way of being able to have all the offers in one place at time of review. Also great for, as a buying agent, have all your financial documents. So as you complete signing documents, and maybe you even have a folder called signed documents. For my signed documents to go into when I go to digital signing. Let's see here. Other than that, I think that's pretty much it, Leo, for the basics. Are there any questions on any of the basics?
Wow, it's just we have the best agents just listening in on this webinar, and they're totally amazed.
Thank you.
I think they get it.
Awesome. I think zipForms is such a fun, easy tool for everyone to use. Even, when we add a client in as a party, any future transactions that we create, as an example.
Peter says, thank you. Great job today.
Thank you. When I'm adding in a form real quick for the parties, instead of adding a new party each and every time, because I've added Leo and his wife in prior, I could then go and add from my zipForms contact list, find Leo, select his role, and then say, oops, add, and I can very easily add my client from my contact list in zipForms onto the contracts. So this is a great, easy, fun way of doing that too. Any other questions? If there are no other questions, I want to thank everybody for attending today. I know that we finished up about a half hour early, but hopefully you learned a lot of fun stuff here. Tune in for our 1 o'clock when Leo will be going over digitally signing documents using either DocuSign or AuthentiSign, which is the new signing platform to sign these contracts super quickly and easily. And I think you will enjoy that just as much.
Well, great job, Anthony. I'm really impressed. Thank you.
Thank you all. If there's no other questions, I hope everybody has a great and wonderful day, and I wish you all the best in creating your transactions.
And last but not least, Carmencita says, is this the Plus version only desktop or can be accessed from a cell phone?
You can access this from a cell phone. I would say the contracts are harder to read and write up on a cell, but you could do it. Just go to car.org on your cell phone through your web browser, and you can access your zipForms. I would say this would be easier on a tablet device like an iPad or an Android tablet, because usually you can have an external keyboard and you can just, again, access the internet, access this platform, write up the contracts and get them digitally signed. Now, I will say that Lone Wolf is working on zipForms mobile to improve it, to get the signing platform updated, to have you and your clients physically sign on your tablet like they used to. But with this new edition, they are running into some errors with that right now. But you can still write up the contract and send it out, which I love to do if you're out on the go.
Great. Excellent.
Yeah, you're welcome. Well, with that said, thank you everybody for attending today, and I hope you all have a great and wonderful day.
All right. Thank you again. We'll see you at 1 o'clock.
See you at 1.